You know that feeling when you finally decide to upgrade your home theater, you order a cheap pull-down screen from some discount site, and then 3 weeks later you're staring at a wrinkled canvas that looks like a cheap bathroom shower curtain. The regret sets in fast, especially when you realize you've just added a new layer of disappointment to an already pricey projector. That's why the hesitation before buying a motorized screen is real. You're weighing the risk of another Niceto have that ends up gathering dust versus a setup that actually makes your 4K or 8K content look the way it's supposed to. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What makes the Elite Screen Spectrum RC1 a different story is that it arrives fully assembled, so you're not spending an afternoon wrestling with bolts and brackets. The 142-inch diagonal, 16:10 aspect ratio is sized for a typical living room wall that can accommodate a screen roughly 9 feet wide, which is the sweet spot for most 1080p and 4K projectors without turning the room into a mini cinema that needs a dedicated projector booth. The motorized mechanism is built into a durable casing that hides the screen when it's retracted, keeping it protected from dust, pets, and curious kids. Because it's electric, you just hit the remote and the screen glides up silently, which feels far more polished than a manual pull-down that can snag or leave a visible crease. If you're the type who watches movies on weekends, streams sports in the evenings, and occasionally runs a slide deck for a home office meeting, this screen fits right into that rhythm. The plug-and-play promise means you connect the power cord, mount the frame to the wall using the pre-drilled holes, and the screen is ready to roll. No extra wiring, no need to calibrate a motor. For families with kids, the remote control is a lifesaver. You don't have to climb up a ladder every time you want a big screen for movie night, and the screen stays neatly hidden when not in use, reducing the chance of accidental damage. The material itself is a matte white with a gain that's balanced for both dark rooms and moderately lit spaces, so you won't need to darken the entire living room to get a decent image. On the flip side, the RC1 isn't the answer for every projector enthusiast. If you have a dedicated home theater room with a ceiling mount and you're already invested in a high-end fixed frame, the extra cost of a motorized unit might feel unnecessary. The screen 16:10 ratio is ideal for most modern content, but it does mean you'll see a thin black bar on ultra-wide movies shot in 2.35:1, which could be a deal-breaker for cinephiles who want that cinematic aspect without any letterboxing. Also, because the motor is built into the casing, you're limited to the preset travel distance. If you have a very deep wall recess, the screen may not sit flush with the wall surface, leading to a small gap that can be noticeable in a dark room. Another practical point is the warranty and after-sales support. Elite Screens is a US-based company that offers a 2-year warranty on the screen and a 3-year warranty on the motor mechanism. In my experience, that kind of coverage is more reassuring than buying a cheap screen from a marketplace seller that disappears after a month. If something goes wrong with the motor, say it stops at the midway point, you have a clear path to a replacement part or a full unit swap, which reduces the anxiety that often comes with electronic components in a home theater setup. So who should actually consider the Spectrum RC1? First, anyone who wants a big, immersive picture without committing to a permanent installation. If you rent your space, live in an apartment, or just like the flexibility of stowing the screen away when you're not using it, the motorized, fully assembled design gives you that freedom. It also makes sense for people who aren't mechanically inclined. The absence of a DIY assembly process eliminates a common source of buyer's remorse. Second, if your projector supports 4K or even 8K resolution, and you want a screen that can hold that detail without introducing hotspotting or glare, the material choice here does a decent job, especially when paired with a decent ambient light rejecting projector lamp. Conversely, skip it if you're on a tight budget and can tolerate a manual screen or a simple painted wall. The price point of the RC1 sits above the entry-level pull-down models, and if you're only watching occasional YouTube videos or gaming in a bright room, the motor and premium material may be overkill. Also, if you already own a fixed-frame screen that's perfectly aligned with your projector, the added convenience of a motor might not justify the extra spend. In real-world use, the biggest win I've seen from owners who stick with this screen is the reduction in setup friction. Imagine you're hosting a movie night, you walk in, press the button on the remote, and the screen rises in a